Have you ever been in a meeting with someone who just feels completely grounded? You know, the kind of person who seems deeply self-aware, fully present, and comfortable in their own skin? Well, I had a professor like that back in grad school. She was one of those rare people whose presence instantly shifted a room. She didn't dominate with her voice, but the way that she listened, like really listened, made you feel seen, valued, like what you had to say mattered. There was something that was so calm and steady and deeply human about the way she showed up. And it made her students feel safe and more capable. And while she usually had the answers, it wasn't her expertise that drew us in. It was her presence. That, to me, is what embodied leadership looks like. Now, let's zoom out to something that might feel more familiar. You're on your 5th video call of the day. Your inbox is overflowing. You still have more meetings to get through and you're trying to stay focused, but your attention is fraying. Your jaw is tight, your body feels tense, and you can't remember the last time you took a full breath. So you're showing up, you're doing your job, but let's be honest, you're going through the motions. You're operating on default, not from intention. Now, if that resonates, it's not just a time management issue, and it's not just mindset. It's your nervous system. It's your body letting you know that something is off. And if you know how to pay attention to those signals, rather than override them, you access a quiet but powerful edge in your leadership. And that's what embodied leadership is all about. So at its core, embodied leadership is a shift in how we show up as leaders, not just how we perform our roles. It means leading from a place of alignment, where your thoughts, emotions, values, and body are in conversation with each other, not in conflict. It doesn't mean that you're always calm or confident. Of course not, right? You're human, and challenges are inevitable. But it does mean that you're aware of what's happening inside you, and you're able to stay connected to that experience while navigating everything happening around you. That kind of internal awareness builds steadiness, and it builds trust, and it creates a kind of authenticity that people naturally respond to, especially in times of complexity or change. So why does this matter? Well, the demands of leadership today are intense. Strategy and technical skill are essential, but they're no longer enough. So what's required now is presence. The ability to stay connected to yourself, especially when the pressure is on or the path ahead is unclear. In my book, The Consummate Leader, I talk about self-awareness as the foundation of effective leadership. So without it, your influence and your capacity to grow hits a ceiling. Now, a lot of leaders have intellectual self-awareness. They know their strengths and weaknesses, they filled out the assessments, and maybe they've even created a development plan. But the next level of growth involves embodied self-awareness, grounded in mindfulness, nervous system literacy, and real-time presence. Because when we're disconnected from our bodies, we tend to fall into unhelpful patterns. We push through. We react instead of respond. We miss cues from our teams. We confuse activity with impact. Embodied leadership, on the other hand, helps to break that cycle. It gives you the tools to return to yourself so you can refocus, recenter, and lead from intention, not urgency. And this isn't just theoretical. A study published in the journal Leadership found that cognitive leadership models, so the ones that focus on knowledge and theory, don't fully engage the parts of the brain required for lasting behavior change. But embodied approaches, well, they work with both the body and the mind, and that makes the learning deeper, more sustainable, and more transformational. And the International Coaching Federation also emphasizes the importance of kinesthetic learning. So embodied leadership isn't just something you understand, it's something you experience, and that's what makes it stick. So what does embodied leadership look like? Well, you've probably seen it before. Embodied leaders tend to show up in subtle but powerful ways. They pause before they respond. even in tense situations. They stay grounded during hard conversations without needing to dominate or retreat. They notice emotional shifts in the room, even when nothing's been said. And they lead with clarity and steadiness rather than rushing to fix or perform. So they're not flawless, but they're present, and people feel that. They trust it. Now compare that to what we might call disembodied leadership. That often shows up as reactivity under stress, overthinking or micromanaging, disconnection from others and from personal values, and ignoring the body's signals until burnout hits. And so when that happens, here's what's happening behind the scenes. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for cues of safety or threat, often without your conscious awareness. And so this is why you can walk into a meeting and feel tension even before a word is spoken. So when you're dysregulated, overwhelmed, overstimulated, or rushed, your ability to listen, think clearly, or connect is compromised. But when you're regulated, your full capacity comes online. So that includes your cognitive intelligence, your emotional intelligence, and your somatic intelligence. And the good news is that this isn't a fixed state. So thanks to neuroplasticity, your brain is always changing, and you can really build these leadership capacities through practice. And so practices like breath work, body awareness, and mindful pauses, they don't just calm your system in the moment. They literally reshape your brain to be more resilient, responsive, and grounded. So let's start with 3 small practices that you can try, because you really don't need to overhaul your life to start leading in a more embodied way. Small, simple practices can go a long way. So the first one is the somatic pause. And the way you do this is before a meeting or a decision, you simply pause. You take one breath, you feel your feet, you let your shoulders soften, and that one moment of presence can really change what comes next. You become sort of more tied with yourself in the moment, you're more centered, and that can enable you to operate with more clarity. Second, check in with your body. So ask, what am I feeling right now? Maybe there's tightness in your chest. Maybe your jaw is clenched. Maybe you feel a little bit restless. And you don't even need to fix it. Just noticing can shift your awareness and your regulation. Labeling what's going on activates a different part of your brain that enables you to kind of think again more clearly. A third thing you can do is look around the room. So when you feel caught in a loop, just gently orient to your environment. So let your eyes move. Notice things like light, color, and texture. And this can help to anchor your nervous system in the present. So here's something worth thinking about. As a leader, you already know how to solve problems. But what would change if you led from your whole self? Where are you leading from? Your head or your full presence? Because in today's world, people don't just respond to what you say. They respond to how you are and how you show up, to your nervous system, to your coherence, to your steadiness. And that's why some leaders, like my professor, can walk into a room and shift the entire tone without saying a word. Presence is contagious and it's powerful. So if you're curious about how to cultivate this kind of leadership, I would love to support you. And if you're ready to build a mindfulness practice of your own, I'm going to put a link to my course below. So thanks for watching, take care, and I encourage you to keep leading from the inside out. I'm Dr. Patricia Thompson. Have a great day.